I know that we're called to be here in this particular time, in this particular place, with these particular people that touch your lives in all the circles, in all of your communities. We're here in this duality to do something wonderful. For those of you who believe in reincarnation, we're here to do something I believe that's indelible, that's an indelible memory to our souls. That will be a learning that will last us through lifetimes. Two people, I want to talk about two people who have illustrated to me the power of this fierce urgency that I think we can aspire to. And one is someone who I've talked about before, but I want to talk about him again because I want to share a little bit of a different perspective. It's Nkosi Johnson. And Nkosi Johnson was born in this area outside of Johannesburg, in extreme poverty. They were hard hit by the HIV virus, 1989. And Nkosi Johnson inherited, he acquired this disease in the womb from his mother. And before his death at 12 years old, long before that, he was the longest surviving child with AIDS in South Africa, because the average child with AIDS lived until the age of 2 at that time. And so he was a survivor. And when he advanced a little further into his years, he tried to get into grade school, and something big happened. They refused to admit him because of his condition. And this drew national attention because it was actually illegal, according to South African law, to do that. It was discriminatory. And he said, I am not giving up. I have a message to send the world. And he spent the rest of his days advocating for equal treatment and awareness of AIDS, saying, we're human. Even though we have this condition, we're human. We're all the same. So don't treat us any different. And he rose to global prominence when he, at the age of 11, can you believe it? He wrote a speech and he delivered it, this speech in front of 10,000 delegates at the 13th International AIDS Conference, which was televised globally. And the saying that is most striking to me and most powerful to me is often referred to as Nkosi's Creed. And this is what you may remember me talking about this. And that creed is, do all you can with what you have, in the time you have, in the place you are. I'll repeat that. Do all you can with what you have, in the time you have, in the place you are. That is just so evocative of the fierce urgency of now. That just really calls it in. There is someone else who completely different, taking from the world of capitalism, Steve Jobs. I studied Steve Jobs' videos for quite some time, and it's undeniable that Steve Jobs did some things that were pretty crappy, pretty awful. He was not, he could be a real jerk, obviously. But he also did some things that were pretty wonderful and changing for the world. He was as one of our singers, Robin Hackett, would say, he's a changer. And one of the things that he said to John Scully, who was the CEO of, it was either Coca-Cola or Pepsi at the time, he wanted to recruit John Scully to work for him at Apple. And he said, do you want to sell sugar water your whole life, or would you rather come with me and change the world? That was all that Scully needed to hear. He came over and he did marketing for Apple. One of the other things that Steve Jobs did that was quite remarkable didn't have anything to do directly with his corporate achievements, but it was a speech that he gave, which is his most famous speech. And you can look it up online. I suggest that you do. It was his commencement speech at Stanford in 2005. And this really also captures this fierce urgency of now. And just a couple of excerpts from that speech. He said, "Your time is limited, so don't waste it on living someone else's life. Don't be trapped by dogma, which is living with the results of other people's thinking. Don't let the noise of others' opinions drown out your own inner voice. And most importantly, have the courage to follow your heart and intuition. They somehow already know what you truly want to become. Everything else is secondary." Everything else is secondary to following your heart. Okay. So, how do we capture this intensity of now? We could all come up with different answers, but here are mine. There are basically two answers. And one is this whole area about marking everything, uh, labeling it all as sacred, realizing that it is all sacred and that there's no holier moment than the ones that we make for ourselves. There's no more precious soul than you. There's no more precious time than now. What we believe in unity is everything. The power of Christ consciousness, the power of source is infinite. It's not selective. God is not a respecter of persons. The life energy it's holier and more sacred here, right where you're sitting, than anywhere else. That's the way it has to be, or else we're just back in the world of lack and limitation. So marking that, one of the ways we can think about marking these things is to create rituals. And if I could see you all, I would want to see you raise your hands if you've created rituals, but I know you have, and there's so many that you can do. And a physical ritual is perhaps an altar. And it could be as simple as some place where you put a statue or a flower or crystals, your favorite crystals, but something perhaps that has your own energy on it, something that's special to you. And sometimes we see setting up an altar for a beloved. I have an altar that's dedicated to my mom, but setting up an altar for you is an interesting practice and a way of marking things as sacred. And maybe it's remembering also that nothing is ordinary. Everything's a miracle. I got a reminder just a couple of days ago about nothing is ordinary. How many of you have shuffled a deck of cards? Probably all of us, right? You shuffled a deck of cards, 50, let's just say a 52 card deck. Did you know that is not, there's something unique, wonderful, and precious about that experience, because every time you have shuffled a deck of cards, it creates a unique combination in the history of time. It does. Now, technically, it's not infinity, okay? But there are approximately, now I've never heard of this number, and I've heard of a lot of numbers, 80,000 vigintillion. 80,000 vigintillion is the number of different ways you can shuffle a deck of 52 cards. It's basically 8 followed by, it's 8 followed by 67 zeros. Try writing that out. It is a very big number. In fact, it is larger than the number of atoms in the entire planet. It's huge. So there will never be another card shuffle like that. So if that's true, then it must be true that my DNA and that me as a person is so much more miraculous and unique. I'm an identical twin, but my brother is so different from me. We are each unique, and we're unique in this time and place with the gifts that we carry. So there is no thing that's ordinary. everything is extraordinary and everything is sacred. So making a ritual is one of the ways you can do this. But another one is to make a memory. And when you hear, try this phrase. I'm just going to say this. What do you think of when you hear those were the best of times? Those were the best of times. Personally, I think of some time that's like, in my life, I think of something like 20, 30 years ago, or it's never the present moment. And what I want you to entertain is this thought that in a few years, you may be looking back at this today, these times, as these are the best of times. So how can we take our view of sacredness and say, these right here, we're living the best of times. These are the best of times, not yesterday, not 20 years from now. And knowing that there will never, ever be another October 6th, 2024, 4 p.m. hour. There will never be another October 6th, 2024. And to treat each day as if it were your last day, right? And as if it were your first day, okay? Treat each day as if it were your last day and your first day. David Steindl Rast, the founder of the Gratefulness Movement, which we'll talk about next month, says that a lot. And when you treat each day as if it's your last day, and as if it's your first day, you are condensing things and you are really wanting to walk into the power of now. Such a walk of first day and last day is walked by a particular creature called a mayfly. And I talked about the mayfly in 2019 in October. And so 5 years later, I want to talk briefly about the mayfly. The mayfly, when it's an adolescent, is in a pond. It's in a kind of a larva kind of a stage. But when it hatches into an adult, it has, most of them have 24 hours to live, 24 hours to dance, 24 hours to find a best friend, 24 hours to find their soulmate, 24 hours to have offspring. And in that 24 hours, they will see their last sunset. They will see their last sunset. They will see their first sunset. So just think about that. The first sunset that you ever see, like that image we had earlier on the screen, and it being the last sunset. Doesn't that kind of beg you to view that as sacred? And the other question that accompanies this is, there's a spiritual leader named Muji who asked the question, what if you had 24 hours to live? What if this was your last day? What would you do? Who would you call? What would you want to say that was left unsaid? It's just a beautiful, beautiful question. So, and if every moment is sacred, I also believe that this can be a tipping point that matters for ourselves and that matters for the world. And the intensity of treating this moment like a tipping point where we can change the world, it comes from this whole talk title, and this idea came from a quote from Martin Luther King's 1967 speech he gave in Riverside, California, smoggy Riverside, California. And Martin Luther King said this. He said, "We are now faced with the fact that tomorrow is today," meaning we're in the future already. We are confronted with the fierce urgency of now. There's my talk title. And in this unfolding conundrum of life and history, there is such a thing as being too late. That's an interesting thought. And finally, he says, so there is no time for apathy or complacency. This is a time for vigorous and positive action, says Martin Luther King. And you may hear that and you may say, well, God, I don't have that world stage. I don't have the platform and the connections to do everything he did. But don't worry. Subtle changes can be so significant. Chaos theory. Chaos theory basically means, if you look at it, that there is no chaos. It's just seeming chaos, and that a small, very tiny, subtle change can make extremely large differences over time. And so if we apply this thinking of chaos theory to our lives, we don't have to do something that garners international attention. We can do something grand with our prayers, focused thought. We could do something grand with being the being of joy radiating in our heart. And joy as a choice, just because we're alive, So if we can make those decisions to choose to be that way, that can be a profound mental shift, to just choose happiness. There's a song called I'm Choosing Heaven we've sung many times. You're singing that because I'm choosing heaven, and it's available today right here, and I can choose it consciously with my thought. We're in new thought for a reason. That's a new thought. We can say no matter what came before, and no matter what's coming ahead, no matter what's coming on November 5th, I'm choosing heaven today. I'm choosing heaven tomorrow. I'm choosing heaven on November 5th. I'm choosing heaven consciously. So I'm wrapping up here, and I'd like to close with just a couple of quotes from, I would be amiss if I didn't talk about Eckhart Tolle, who wrote The Power of Now. And I just want to pull a couple of quotes, and I'm paraphrasing some things here from him that I thought were powerful takeaways. One of them was, anxiety, tension, stress, worry, all those things, all forms of fear are caused by too much future, too much past, and not enough presence. Okay. And he goes on to say that the past has no power over the present moment except for the power we give it. And next, that the problem is that most humans are never fully present in the now because they unconsciously believe that the next moment must be more important than this one. The things that we're getting ready to do in the future here are much more important than where I am right here. And he says the reason why that's bad is you can miss your whole life if you're waiting for tomorrow. You can miss your whole life. But if you live today as if it were the first day, and as if it were the last day, that's where your power is. So do all you can with what you have, in the time that you have, in the place that you are. And so it is. And Laura, I'm going to spotlight you to sing us.
Whew. Well, I think I'll share this one. It's called Roots, and to really root down what all the wisdom that was shared, and to be rooted in the present moment. Great reminders. There's a deepening, no need for words. Still inside, I speak. I know I will be heard. I will be heard. Well, I've misunderstood. This life is safe and grand and good. Oh, feed my soul till I reach the bottom, and it is deeper than I have your love that roots me down. Mm-hmm. Your love, it roots me down, yeah. You root me, I am rooted down in your love, your love, your love. Right here in your presence, in your love. And the root, it grows me together. And the root is mine forever and ever and ever.
Thank you, Laura Berman.
I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all